Hey, what's up there, YouTubers? It's me again, Brian, aka Gamer55551, and I am back with a video review. And for this review, we're going to be taking a look at the Nintendo Switch version of Super Mario 3D World, plus its new game, second game part of it, though, Bowser's Fury, for, like I said, for the Nintendo Switch. It's worth pointing out, Super Mario 3D World was originally released back on the Wii U back in 2013. And if you're interested in any gameplay footage, if you're watching this on YouTube, I'll have a link down in the description down below, or you can click on the card that will appear up on the screen. Like I said before, in 2013, Nintendo released the next entry in the 3D Mario series called Super Mario 3D World. And the reaction, I think, for some folks, depending on who you ask, was in a way kind of mixed and all that stuff. The announcement of the game and the full reveal of it, though, was at a time when the Wii U was pretty much at a low point, or Nintendo itself, though. The Wii U was not going to become the success Nintendo had hoped for and all that stuff. And coming off the high that was Super Mario Galaxy 2, many people, the reaction was, like I said, kind of mixed and all that stuff. For me, I played Super Mario 3D World back when it was released on the Wii U, and I don't think it's a bad game or anything like that, though. It's just that it's just not as good as, say, Super Mario 64, Galaxy 1, Galaxy 2, and of course, Odyssey and all that stuff. So it's no surprise to me that when Nintendo decided to bring over, as part of Mario's 35th anniversary and all that stuff, which supposedly will come to an end on March 31st, that Nintendo was going to bring over Super Mario 3D World, which, like I said, not really surprising considering we've seen a lot of Wii U ports make their way over to the Nintendo Switch. What was more surprising was not only were they bringing that game over, but they were also bringing over a second game called Bowser's Fury. And when they showed off a bunch of trailers for it, though, Bowser's Fury was just sort of kind of interesting in the way that, and all that stuff, and was it very unique how this whole setup was. It's sort of an open world approach for Mario and all, in terms of a unique and interesting version of Bowser, with especially the rock music and all that stuff. So now the game has finally came out, and I finally got a chance to play the game. I will say my takeaway from it would be this, though. Super Mario 3D World is still, while it's not nearly as good as, say, Mario Galaxy 1 or 2 or 64 or Odyssey, though, Super Mario 3D World is still a good game, nevertheless, and the addition of Bowser's Fury certainly is a nice addition indeed. So why don't we get started with the pros and cons, and we'll start first with the pros. And we'll start first with Super Mario 3D World. And I will say, anybody who played Super Mario 3D Land on the Nintendo 3DS, though, will probably, or like that game, will probably appreciate Super Mario 3D World. In a way, it sort of feels like an enhanced version of Super Mario 3D Land, and in some sense, it follows more closer to the 2D Mario games than the traditional, or the 3D Mario games indeed, though. I mean, yes, you still have the question blocks, you have sort of the suits, which are similar to what we saw in Super Mario Bros. 3. You have, collect 100 coins, you get a 1-up and all that stuff. But what was interesting about Super Mario 3D World is that it was a 4-player co-op game on the Switch, though I haven't tried this out yet, though. You could play that game online with up to 4 other players. And taking a page out of Super Mario Bros. 2 in a way, each of the 4 characters, Mario, Luigi, Toad, and Peach, basically have their own unique abilities, all that stuff. Mario is a bit more of the well-balanced character. Luigi has the ability to basically jump higher than, say, like Mario would. Toad basically can run a bit faster, though, and Peach has the ability to float in the air for a little bit longer, which could come in handy if you're trying to cross certain platforms and all that stuff, or trying to make a certain jump and all. So it sort of takes a little bit of a page from Super Mario Bros. 2 to it, which I often view as sort of the black sheep of the 2D Mario games. Good game, nevertheless, though. So it's definitely, I mean, like I said, Super Mario 3D World, the gameplay is just like Super Mario 3D Land, though, and it's solid, it's enjoyable, and all that, though. And the addition of now being able to play online and all that stuff certainly is a nice addition over the Wii U version, though. The next thing I do want to talk about is the Bowser's Fury, and This one kind of surprised me a little bit, though. I did not go into this enjoying Bowser's Fury and all that stuff. As I mentioned before, it was kind of a bit of a surprise when Nintendo announced this as part of Super Mario 3D World, and it's actually very fun. Basically, the whole approach is sort of it takes sort of like an open world style of approach, and some degree there's a little bit of an Odyssey, Super Mario Odyssey vibe to it and all that. Basically, Mario can basically, it's like somewhat open world like Breath of the Wild and all that stuff, but to a certain degree and all that. This interesting thing about Bowser's Fury is that although when you're trying to collect all the cat shrines, though, you have a certain amount of time before Giga Bowser pops up and all that. When he does, though, then you either have to do three things. One, try to find a cat shrine to basically have Bowser go back to sleep. Two, sort of ride it out with him, like find a good place to hide, and then eventually Giga Bowser will give up and retire for a little bit. He'll reappear again, or actually fight Giga Bowser. To do that, you need to ring the giant cat bell, and for that you have to collect several shrines, though. Sometimes it might take up to like 20 cat shrines to 30 or 40 and all that, but when you do, you go into sort of like an epic battle with him, though. When you defeat him, you'll open up some more areas to explore and all that stuff, though. So it's a very interesting approach that they take to it. Plus, on top of that, you also have Bowser Jr., though, which you can play as a 2-player, though, but if you're playing it as a single-player experience, you have the ability to adjust it where you can have him help you a lot, help maybe a little bit, or not help at all, though. One thing to point out is that you can basically, if you're playing, you can basically use the motion controls to a certain degree and point to an area where you want Bowser Jr. to help or anything like that, or maybe uncover a little secret behind the wall. It's worth pointing out, you can also use this in Super Mario 3D World, as this is sort of like the replacement to like the touchscreen approach when it was on the Wii U gamepad for certain levels and so forth, though. And the other thing I liked about it is that when you collect 100 coins or you collect power-ups, some of them you can store and you can carry up to 5 power-ups each, though. So you could carry like to 5 of the cat bells, 5 of the mushrooms, 5 of the boomerang to turn into like a boomerang brother or Fire Mario and all that stuff. It's a really neat idea, and I like this approach that they take with the open world approach for Bowser Fury, and it does make you kind of wonder if this could be the future of Mario games, to be exact, or 3D Marios, and could we see Nintendo kind of expand upon this idea that was in Bowser's Fury and all that stuff. Time will tell if that does happen, but I will say Bowser's Fury is surprisingly fun, in my opinion. And last but not least, though, I do want to talk about, especially if you are those picking up the physical version, unless I'm missing something, as far as I'm aware of, it's basically 2 games in 1 cart, though. This isn't one of those where you like say the Borderlands Handsome Collection, where you only got one of the Borderlands games and you had to download the rest or anything like that. It's both games in 1 cart, which is certainly nice and all that stuff. This is very similar to what we saw with Metro with the Metro remaster, where they had, I think, 2033 and Last Light in 2 games in 1 cartridge, though. So you're getting something similar to that kind of approach and all. So kudos to Nintendo for putting both those games in 1 cartridge, though. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to part 2, which are the cons. So we'll take a little break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 2 of our video review of Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury for the Nintendo Switch. So now that I gave you the pros, why don't we get started with the cons? And there's really only 2 cons I could think of in regards of Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser Fury. We'll start off with the first one, and I did mention this before, though, as is basically with Super Mario 3D World. Now, don't get me wrong, I still think Super Mario 3D World is a fun game. I still think it's an enjoyable game and all that stuff, and like I said, it feels like somewhat more of a throwback to like the classic 2D Mario games, which isn't necessarily bad or anything like that. That said, though, as enjoyable as Super Mario 3D World is, to me, it just never reaches the height that, say, games like Mario 64 or Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 and Odyssey as well. I know some people may or may not agree with on that. And like I said, like I mentioned before, it feels more like an enhanced version of Super Mario 3D Land for the Nintendo 3DS when that came out, though, alright? Don't get me wrong, I still think 3D World's still a good game, as I said before, but to me, I just put it in the same category as, say, Super Mario Bros. 2 or Super Mario Sunshine and Way, as I often view it as more like the black sheep of the Mario games and all that stuff. I guess my view on it is because coming off the high that was Mario Galaxy 2, see it go this direction, it just didn't deliver that kind of excitement that I was hoping for when they announced Super Mario 3D World for the Wii U and all that stuff. But like I said, it's still a good game, nevertheless, and it is certainly something that is enjoyable, especially for those who may have missed out on it. It's just, to me, it just never gets the height that was basically Super Mario 64, Mario Galaxy 1, Mario Galaxy 2, and Super Mario Odyssey, though. The next thing I do want to talk about is basically Bowser's Fury, and one little con that I saw, and this was when I was, and the switch out in portable mode and all, and that is that when playing the Bowser's Fury part, while it's still good, don't get me wrong, but when playing it in portable mode, to me, maybe I'm missing something, but I saw the frame rate kind of take a hit to a certain degree. It wasn't running at the steady frame rate like it was when playing it in console mode. I believe it was at 60 frames per second. This one looked like it dropped 30 frames per second. It's almost kind of similar to, in a way, like Fire Emblem Warriors was. When you can play that game, I believe in action mode, it runs at 60 frames per second in console mode, but in portable mode, it runs at 30 frames per second. Now, having it run at 30 frames per second isn't necessarily bad or anything like that, and it doesn't make the game unplayable or anything. I haven't really experienced anything that made the game unplayable, but it's definitely is noticeable, to be exact. And if Nintendo were to expand upon the idea of what they did with Bowser's Fury, though, I'm hoping they could hoping that they could maybe, hopefully, when it comes to playing it in portable mode, maybe they could find a way to make the game run at 60 frames per second. I mean, you could take a look at like Super Mario Odyssey. I believe that runs at 60 frames per second. Obviously, certain visuals had to take a hit, mostly when it's in portable mode, but it still looked good and played well and all that stuff. But like I said, it's not to the level where it's unplayable when it's in portable mode, but it is noticeable when you see it go down from the 60 frames per second in console mode to the 30 frames per second in portable mode, to be exact. Excuse me. Overall, Super Mario 3D World and Bowser's Fury is still a enjoyable and fun game, nevertheless, though. Even though I still don't think Super Mario 3D World will ever overtake Mario 64, Galaxy 1 or 2, or Super Mario Odyssey, Super Mario 3D World is still an enjoyable game, even if it comes off as feeling more like excuse me, an enhanced version of Super Mario 3D Land. It still plays great, the gameplay is solid and so forth, though, so it still is an enjoyable game nevertheless. Bowser's Fury is one that actually surprised me the most, and I like some of the ideas that Nintendo did with Bowser's Fury, and I'm definitely open to seeing basically if those ideas will be incorporated into, say, future Mario titles, to be exact, such as maybe like if they ever do like a Mario Galaxy 3 or Super Mario Odyssey 2 or go with a different name for a Mario title. But I would be very interested to see if some of the stuff in Bowser's Fury is used in future Mario games. So I definitely would be open to that. I do hope that they can address the frame rate issue, especially when you're playing in portable mode. Again, it doesn't make the game unplayable in any way, but it is definitely noticeable nevertheless. But either way, I did have a fun time with Super Mario 3D World and Bowser's Fury, though. Props to Nintendo for bringing the game over to the Nintendo Switch, and props to them with Bowser's Fury and all. And so, for me, though, it's definitely worth picking up, nevertheless, though. Just For me though, 3D World will like I said, 3D World will never reach the height that the other Mario games I mentioned, 64, Galaxy 1 and 2, and Odyssey though, but it's still a good game. And Bowser's Fury, like I said, was surprisingly fun, and I definitely could see some of the ideas in Bowser's Fury maybe incorporated in some ways, in some form, in say like a future 3D Mario title. And I would be very curious to see if Nintendo goes in that direction with say like a 3D Mario game in an open world kind of approach. I would be really interesting if they do that. I like when they did that with The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. I know some disagree, but I definitely like what they did with that one, and I'm very curious to see if they take a similar approach with a future 3D Mario game. Okay, this concludes my video review of Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury for the Nintendo Switch. And again, these are my opinion. What are yours? What are your thoughts about Super Mario 3D World Bowser's Fury though? Have you tried the game out yet? Are you glad Nintendo ported over Super Mario 3D World, a Wii U game, onto the Nintendo Switch? What are your thoughts about Bowser's Fury? Did you enjoy Bowser's Fury, and do you think some of the ideas in Bowser's Fury could be used in, say, a future 3D Mario title, to be exact? Do you agree with what I said in this video? Do you disagree? Do you have a difference of opinion? As always, and if you're watching this on YouTube, sound off in the comment section below. And if you like this video, I hope you hit the like button. I would appreciate it. And I hope you do subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you do, make sure you hit the bell icon for notifications of any new videos I put up. Also, feel free to share this video if you want to, and feel free to donate to my channel if you like. You could do it through PayPal me or Patreon. Links will be in the description of this YouTube video. And I will see you again next time when I do another video. Hopefully that'll be soon. Until then, for Southern California, wish you all a good day then. Bye!